Welcome to Yeshiva Daf sponsor Lu Nishma Sami Akashon Abbas Yitzchok. We're holding in Basra Daf Samach Base. So the Gemara Samach Base of Daf on top. Meitza echad oroch umeitza echad kacha. Now here we're going to use the pshat, the explanation of the Rashbam throughout the Daf. There's many shapes over here that we're going to talk about, many fields, and there's different machlekes and Rishonim. What is the shape that we're talking about? We're going to focus mainly in the Rashbam. If we have some time, we'll try to maybe bring another pshat. But in general, we'll talk about the pshat of the Rashbam. So one goes and tells his friend, I'm going to give you, I'm selling you a land. And he gives him the length of the east. He says the east border, which is longer than the west border. The east border is 100 feet. The west border is only 50 feet. So it says Rav, he's referring to 50 feet. The field will be 50 feet in length. He said the bigger border. He mentioned the bigger border because it's easier to talk about the border. Why? Maybe it means an angle, right? If you look at the picture here in the second picture, in the Rashbam here on the right, you see two pictures. The top picture is what Rav said. Rav said that you do a straight line. So even though you mentioned the longer one and the shorter one, you have a straight line, give it the size of the shorter border. Comes Rav Kana Rabasi say no, maybe make it an angle. That's the second picture of the Rashbam. Make it an angle. He means to say that you take a line from the shorter border to the longer border. That will be the size of the field. Shostik Rav. Rav did not answer. This, by the way, we mentioned earlier on your different Masechtas, when Rav was tracing, he had an answer. It was a peak Kabbalah, I didn't want to go into it. When you have on one side, you have Reuben and Shimon. And the other side, you have Levi Yehuda. In other words, you can differentiate the field. You could say only half and half. Now here we have a problem with the Girsah. As the Bach brings over here, that we have your different Girsahs here of the Rashbam and the Tesis, but according to the Rashbam, you have to say Reuven keneged Levi, and you don't say the word Yeshiva keneged Yehuda. For the cost of Levi, Shmamine keneged Rosh Yehuda Amalei. What's the shot? So if you look at the next picture of the Rashbam, we're talking about here that you have on one side, you have next to the border, you have a field of Reuven and a field of Shimon. The other side of the field, you have a field of Levi and you have a field of Yehuda. Levi is against Reuven and Shimon is against Yehuda. So it was very easy for the owner to explain himself. Because so listen, I was telling you my field. The right side would be the border of Reuven and the left side would be the border of Levi. Easy peasy. Why did he have to say I'm giving you on the right side the border of Levi, of Reuven and Shimon? Right? It's very neat. In other words, the Pshat in the Gemara according to the Rashbam is very, very simple. When did Rav say that I don't go based on the longer border? When the longer border doesn't have a way to differentiate. You can say half. People don't like to say half. So they say that the right border is what's next to the river. I don't know where exactly I'm going to cut it into half. But if I have a way, I have a landmark to cut it in the middle. How? Let's say I have next to the border a field of Reuven and a field of Shimon. So just say I'm giving you the field of Reuven. I have exactly where to cut it. I have a landmark where to cut it. If you don't say that, that means you're selling the whole border. So saying the whole border of the right is longer than the left, that means they're giving you an angle. So Rav agrees when they have a way to differentiate. So the more Meitza Reuven, Mizrach Umayrov, Meitza Shimon, Tzafar Medar. Now you have a field. And Reuven has a field on the east and west of the field. And Shimon has the north and south. So the Michtav Meitza Reuven Ruchin Train, Meitza Shimon Ruchin Train. So he needs to say, I'm giving you two borders on the land of Reuven, which are across the land of Reuven, and two borders across the land of Shimon, in order to give him the entire field. Why not? Because what happens if you don't say that? Because if I just say Reuven Shimon, maybe that means I'm giving you one border of Reuven and one border of Shimon. How would that be? That's the next picture in the Rashbam. Maybe he means an angle, give you half the field. And I'm making an angle on my field, giving you the east side of Reuven and the south side of Shimon. That's it. I'm not giving you all four borders. I'm doing an angle in the middle. That's the same, giving you two borders of Reuven, two borders across from Reuven, two borders across from Shimon. Ibailu, Simlo Sierra Takarner's mouth. He mentioned only the corners. Let's say you have a field of Reuven in one corner. In other words, there's many fields all around this field. And the northeast corner is next to Reuven's field. The southeast corner is connected Shimon's field. The southwest corner is connected Levi. And the northwest connected Yehuda. He mentioned Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda. He gave him the four corners only. He only spoke with the four corners. Do I mean he wants to give the entire field? Or more, and maybe he's giving him only these corners. The Rashbam brings, maybe he wants to give him an X. If you look here in the next picture of the Rashbam, it means the X from one corner to another corner, giving you a little bit of a draw between the corners. Some Rishonim want to say only the corners themselves. So I don't know what he means. Does he mean the entire field, or he means and he just gives him the landmarks? Or I'm giving you only these areas. Another question. Kimin Gama. The Rashbam explains Kimin Gama means he's giving him a little more than the corner. He's giving him an L shape on the northeast and an L shape on the southwest. Does he mean that's the entire field? Or he wants to give a border between the L's, as the Rashbam brings in the last picture over here. So I don't know what he means. Continues the Gemara and says, Besiru Gimel. What happens if you have the field has every quarter of a field has another border to it. So you have on the north side you have Reuven Shimon. On the west side you have Levi Yehuda. On the south side you have Zvulun and Yisachar. And on the east side you have Yosef and Yom. That's the next picture of the Rashbam. And he mentioned each second one. He said, I'm giving you the field which is next to Reuven's, next to Levi's, next to Yisachar, next to Yosef. He didn't mention all of them. Does he mean just to mention a little bit of each border because he doesn't have craft to speak of the whole thing? Or he's giving him a pizza-shaped field. You cut the field into a pizza shape, date, and you're giving him pizza slices, four of them, not the whole thing. Second one, take home. We're not sure. Because here's the one to another suffix. Mitzar u'metzar rishon u'metzar sheni u'metzar shlishi u'metzar revi loy metzar. He mentioned the border 1, border 2, border 3, but he didn't mention border 4. Then what? You coin everything except metzar revi. What it means chutz metzar revi? So the Rashbam explained metzar revi means one line on the fourth border, one telem. That's it. I mean, you're giving the whole field except the one row. No, you include the fourth row. You don't have to say every border. I said 3, so you include the fourth. Rav says, no. Disagree. You coin only one row in a U shape. The Rav says chet shape. Then I get a row from the north, a row from the south, and a row from the west. And that's it. Because if I did not mention the east, maybe he means I'm just giving you the rows of the border, not more. So like Rav Doma Shirshai. He agrees with the Rav that when I didn't say the fourth, I didn't give you the fourth. Only the Shai B'Meitza Shinai B'Kula. He didn't give him the border, he didn't give him the whole field. So I'm saying I just gave you one row U shape around the field. Allah Rova says Rova. He's creating the whole thing except the fourth border with one row. That it's only if the fourth border is not swallowed within the other two borders. If you look at the Rashbam in the bottom, you see the picture. Meaning, when he says the east and the west, for example, does the east and the west go and they go from one edge to the other edge? And then the north is swallowed within the east and the west? Or the east and the west are ending right before the last part of the north? Because the east, let's say, is bordered with a river. The south is bordered with the field of Shmer. The Shmer field and the river get till the end, but not till the end, or they include the last part. So the word says like this. That the fourth border is not swallowed within the other two. If it's swallowed, it's coin. Even when it's not swallowed, when they say they didn't sell it, only when it's Makav Chashuv on its own. What it means Makav Chashuv on its own? And the Ikale has in it Richvo de diklo. Richvo means trees that are a bunch of trees together. They have a tishas kabin and has at least 9 kav, which is the minimum amount of a field. Avalei kali richvo de diklo doesn't have the trees. The lo have tishas kabin and tishas kabin kono. But it means the trees and tishas kabin it's either or, meaning it's either a place of trees or a field. So it's a makom chashuv on its own. But if it's not makom chashuv, so he's kohen it. Mashma mechlal di mivlo, if it is swallowed, the fourth border, so if it's swallowed, even if it's a makom chashuv, you're kohen. If it's not swallowed, so then if it's makom chashuv, yes. If it's not makom chashuv, not. That is the first gears of Rava. Ikadam Rava. Some say name of Rava, a little different. He's kohen everything, including mitzvah revi. The opposite of what we said before. The mivla, it's only if it's swallowed. If it's not swallowed, that's swallowed before. Even when we said swallowed, so it doesn't have any the trees, a bunch of trees together. It doesn't have the size of the minimum amount of a field. But if it does have one of these things, if it's not swallowed, if it's not swallowed, even though it does not have you're not kohen. So what comes out? You have 2 gisaros of Rav. I have 3 borders, and the 4th border, if you're kohen or not kohen, 2 gisaros what goes on. And what's going to happen? So we want to summarize everything very nicely. Shaminim etavai olisha de Rav. We're looking for both Lashonis the following. When I give you a field, usually not in the field itself, you get the whole thing, not only the borders, right? Because we had before the shito of Ravasi that said that when I leave out the 4th border, the entire field I left out. So there you see, it's not. We don't agree with it. If it's swallowed, it's not a makom chashuv that has in its trees and 9 kav kona. Then you kohen. Everybody agrees. Because he says that once you have, according to both the Lashonos of Rava, if it's swallowed, if both conditions are there, it's swallowed and it's not makom chashuv, you are kohen it. And if you have both conditions are not met, it's not swallowed and it's a makom chashuv, then everybody agrees loy kohen. But if you have only one condition, it's either swallowed and it is makom chashuv, or it's not swallowed, it's not makom chashuv, that's the 2 gisaros of Rav. And what's the halacha? Shuda the dayan. The dayan can decide. And what does Shuda dayan mean? We have always throughout Shas the Rashi Rashbam against Tosis. Rashi Rashbam means that the dayan will try to figure out what do the guy mean. So this guy over here sold 3 borders, not the 4th. What did he mean? Did he mean to give him the 4th border, not to give him the 4th border? He didn't mention the 4th border. You have to figure out what does this guy usually think. Tosis is old. The Shuda dayan means that the dayan can just make up his mind on his own. That's what Gemara says. Okay, Zok the Gemara. Let's continue a little bit more over here. Omarab, Palgo. If a person says the words Palgo di isli be'aro, right? The person says, "I'm giving half that I have in the land." Palgo. So you meaning what are we talking about? We're talking about somebody who has a land in partnership. He's a partner with somebody else, and he has the land. He's a partner with somebody else on the land. And he says, the half that I have in the land, I'm giving you. So Palgo, he's giving him half. But if he said, Palgo be'aro de'isli, so I'm giving you half of the land I have, then the Riva is giving you only a quarter of the land. That makes sense also in our Lashonos. If I'm telling you, I'm giving you the half that I have, so that half means the entire half that I have. If I give you a half of what I have, it means a quarter. Only Abai my shtoch. He wrote Abai did not hear the difference. Ishtik. He was quiet. Only Abai Anas Savi. I thought with the Ishtik Kabul Kabul. It means Rabbi accepted it for me. V'loi Chazino no shtor dinavke meimar. I saw the stars coming out from the basin of Rabbi. V'chtibu it says there. Achi. Palgo the Isli Baro. The half that I have in the land. The half that I have. Palgo. Palgo Bar the Isli Rivo. The half the half of what I have, it's a quarter. Notice, as I explained before, Rabbi stay with it. Says the Gemara, V'omer Rabba, another Lashon. Metzar aro de mino palgo. He gives a border of the land. He says, in other words, he's giving a land to, Reuben sells the land to Shimon. And he says, I'm leaving for myself an area. Metzar aro de mino palgo. I'm leaving for myself half. So what does it mean, palgo? So it means half goes to you, half stays by me. But mitzar aro de mino psiko, he didn't say half. He said, I'm leaving myself a piece. He didn't say half. So then Tisha Kabi is giving himself the smallest land possible. Abai did not see the difference. Ishtik. So he thought Rabbi was quiet. So we know, he said, maybe agree with me that he means to give him half. When I say piece or half, it means I'm leaving for myself half. Saying what myself, I learned from, so we know that people thought that's what Abaye meant. Before we said what Rabba meant. This is what Abaye meant. So the word, it says, Rabbi Shammai, I understood what Abaye know. I understood Abaye being mitzar aro de mino palgo, but mitzar aro de mino psiko. It doesn't matter if you said half or piece. If he said exactly, he said these are the borders of the entire land. He added these words, palgo. Then he takes himself a half. I didn't say the borders, Tisha Kavi. So then he means the minimal land. Why? Why the borders make a difference? The borders means the borders of the entire land, not borders of what he's taking. So the Rashbam explains over here, because we are, it's a yitu lashon. Whenever the seller adds words he's not supposed to, that means he's adding for himself more. So in this case, when he could just say, I'm giving you a piece. If he said, and these are the borders, so he's adding for himself more. So he's adding for himself a half. But if he said, this says, I'm leaving myself a piece, and he doesn't say the borders, so you're saying, what he means to say is the smallest piece. So it depends if he added the words. If he did not add the words, that's the explain Abaye that argues on Rabba. It's interesting that the first case was Rabba and he was quiet. Abaye wasn't sure what he meant. Then Abaye argued in the next case, and we weren't sure what Abaye meant until the Gemara explains it. We said, we'll stop over here. Maybe the share continue from here in the next daf. Kol Tov.